World War II veteran, and my family over the years has said, "Dad, you've never talked to me much about this." And so over the years, and I was very fortunate because during the war, aboard my ship, my photo lab was right next door to me, and after the war, the photographer made me a picture of practically everything was taken in the Pacific Ocean, the parts that we were in there. So I put the book together. I have many more pictures that I need to do something with, and some enlargements. To start with, went into World War II at the age of 17, right out of high school, and joined the Navy, and was assigned to U.S. Shamrock Bay, an aircraft carrier. We went down through the West Coast for shakedown cruise, and then went through the Panama Canal to the East Coast, and we were assigned to black fighter planes over to Casablanca for the French. We made 2 trips doing that across the Atlantic Ocean. A couple of on the 2 trips, we had to drop some depth charges on the German subs at that point. So, but that was it. So then we came back through the Panama Canal to the West Coast, picked up a squadron in San Diego, trained our squadron, and headed to the Pacific Ocean. And my first big battle there was Iwo Jima, and that was I think the worst battle of all of our battles in the Pacific Ocean. The number of people killed was over 7,000 men killed on Iwo Jima, and I'm very fortunate. Well, the first picture here is I don't remember where it was, but I'm leaning against a Greyhound bus. I must have been headed someplace. The next picture is taken at Farragut, Idaho, and that's where I went to boot camp. And then the third one here is just a pose that I had taken. Well, I would have been 18 at this time, and this was Farragut, Idaho, and I was 18 when I went into boot camp. Here it's aboard the ship that shows all the Japanese flags, which indicates the number of planes and or ships that we sunk of the Japanese fleet. The last picture in here is one from the Wenatchee World, an article that they did on me in World War II, and about it's titled "Souvenir from World War II." That's referring to my second print of raising the flag on Iwo Jima, which I was very fortunate to be able to have. So that's all the pictures myself I put in here. The next section of my book is strictly Iwo Jima, and it's the story of Joe Rosendahl, the photographer that took that picture, and then on a couple of enlargements of raising the flag on Iwo. And for years I would not even have a copy made, but I finally did, and had an enlargement made and it's had it framed and it hangs at our American Legion Club, and I've had an awful lot of thank yous for doing that, and the story about the landing on Iwo Jima. So, and then I've got a couple of new pictures here of this last year's Lincoln banquet. They introduced a gentleman as a survivor of Iwo Jima, and I had never met another fellow from Iwo Jima that was a survivor other than my own buddy back east. And so after the speaker, and after he spoke, well, then the MC got up, asked table 17 to stand up. That was our American Legion table. So she looked right at me. She said, "Dick Ward, you're a survivor of Iwo Jima too, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." So, and then they brought this gentleman over to meet me. He lives on the west side, but he's really a wonderful guy, and people took pictures of us. We gave each other a big hug, but Anyway, we've talked a lot to each other on the phone since then, and hope that one day that we'll get to see each other again. But his name is Cy Myers, and he and I were both honored then at that Lincoln Day banquet, so that was very nice. Pictures of action at sea in the Pacific Ocean, and some of them show some of our planes being having wrecks or not landing properly when they hit the deck with bad weather, or they miss the landing wire or whatever. I have one picture that shows the area where my battle station aboard that ship was. I was an aircraft controlman with my friend Dwayne Hatch, and we were perched up in this 42 round diameter metal box with a gyro compass and radio contact with our fighter planes. And we would spot the kamikazes and tell our fighter planes to shoot them down before they came to us. But this is all pictures of one picture shows the island of Iwo Jima and the bay at Iwo Jima, and a couple other ships, battleship that were also in our fleet. So it shows the ships at sea, and then one ship that's been hit, and our fighter planes. And here's another picture of some of our own ships that are in our fleet. They knew, those boys that were flying those planes knew that they might not come back. They were out to kill us and get rid of us. And I can always tell when the kamikaze was coming, I told my buddies they sound just like a lawnmower. They loved hitting our flight deck. If we hit our flight deck, then we're out of operation. And or a lot of times they would fly in at sundown, or the sun right in your eyes and right at water level. And they did hit several of our ships that way. Yeah, and I do have a picture of one. The ship has lost the whole bow off the ship to dive on us and get rid of us. Why they were going to kill themselves, and that was their life, I guess. And they were very bad at Iwo Jima, and more so at Okinawa. But they were there to get rid of the U.S. Navy people. There are some other pictures in here at the same time where our planes would wreck coming in. One went into off to the side and into our gun sponsons, and cut one of my buddies in two, and that it still hurts today to even think about it and even look at the picture knowing that's what happened to him. But I guess it's time to talk about it. So, battle station, and I saw it all. Glenn and I were both there, and we both knew him very well. And it's just, and we had our job to do there, so it wasn't anything we could do to be with him. And then we did bury him at sea later on, but it just, I don't know, it's just something that's hard to describe when you see a very good friend. Something like that happened to him, and you know you're not going to be able to see him again. Still some ships in that, in one of our submarines and another aircraft carrier. In the next section, this is one that's kind of interesting. You feeling at sea when you're out at sea, you don't get to land very often. So they have to bring the fuel to you, and this shows the fuel ship pulling up along my ship and running the lines across and our ship, so they feel us. And of course makes water pretty rough between the two ships. And the next section here is the Panama Canal. I'd love to go back there again. I understand they've have done a lot of work on it, enlarged it some. But we went through the Panama Canal with the USS Missouri, which was a battleship, and there were just hardly any clearance at all for them. A little less than it was for us. I went through the canal 3 times from the time we commissioned the ship and went to the East Coast to do our duties, and then we came back through it. And then after the war, we pulled into Seattle and anchored, and I told my skipper, I says, well, I used to live over the mountain, you can discharge me here. And he says, no, Dick, you're going to go through the canal once when everybody's discharged off that ship, then you can go home. So that's the way it worked out. And I did get home, flown home first class. Anyway, I made my three trips through the canal, but I'd love to go back again just to see what it was. Able to get too many pictures of, I don't know why we didn't have them of Okinawa, because it was another very bad operation, and where we lost a lot of our planes. We went into Camaretto and Leyte and Luzon, and then through the Philippine Sea. When we split our fleet up, part of us went some went north, and we went through the Philippine Sea, and from there we sunk the last of that part of the Japanese Navy. Our group that went north, then they were able to take care of the rest of the Japanese. And when we were out in the Philippine Sea one evening, it was dark. They sent my ship out away from the fleet, turned all our flight deck lights on, and because one of our other carriers had been hit by some kamikazes, and so the pilots came and landed aboard my ship. We'd get the pilot out, and if he had any film that he'd been taken, we'd get the film, the pilot out, and push their plane over the bow, and then take another one in. We were able to save all the pilots off the end of the ship. Next section here is just a few pictures of Yokohama, Japan, just after the atomic bomb had been dropped, and of course there wasn't much left there. A couple of them shows a little baby sitting in a pile of junk, trash. And then I have a few. It was afterwards. We were in the bay with the Missouri when they signed the treaty. I don't have a picture of that other than a newspaper clipping of it that I framed, and it hangs on the wall in my office, in my den. But I was there aboard my ship when they signed the treaty. Now I do have a few pictures of Japan, Tokyo, and we were able to go there after everything it was kind of cleared up a little bit. So, and it's quite a big city, and it shows a picture of the castle, the waterway around it. There's a name for it. But that was quite an experience too. I'd love to go back there again too. So, evidently we're all friends nowadays, and so after the war, then, like I said, we pulled into Seattle. They wouldn't discharge me there. They sent me through the canal for the third time and discharged me in Seattle. And I saw a lot of things that I wished I hadn't seen. We buried several of our friends at sea, and I do have pictures of those, and I haven't got them all put together yet. You'd think after all these years I'd have everything cataloged, but I do have them separated. But born and raised in Manson, so we were apple growers, and I came home, and of course I went directly to the ranch, and then that fall, which 46, then I came back to Wenatchee and moved in with my grandparents. Went to Wenatchee Junior College, which was in the old high school building, Wenatchee High School building, which was on Franklin, Idaho, and King Streets at that time. And I went to school there for 2 years. And while I was going to school there, I met my wife, and we got married, and then we moved to Pullman, to Washington State College, and after that we came back to Wenatchee, and I wanted to go to, I'm majored in horticulture. I wanted to go to work for the Washington State Administration, field man, and they weren't hiring field men, but they hired my wife as their executive secretary. So I went to work for Alcoa just when they were just starting to build, and I was there for 8 years. And then they wanted to send us back east, and the wife says, no, we're not moving back east. So I resigned from Alcoa and then bought into what was Wenatchee Paint and Glass at that time, one of the oldest businesses in town, and we were down on Wenatchee Avenue. And I was there till I retired in '62, and so I spent about 35 years there before. But I had two other partners, and one of them passed away, and we owned 5 storefronts on Wenatchee Avenue and the same amount of property on Mission Street right behind. So we had to sell that to help pay the one partner off. So we just closed the store up, and I sold off all my equipment. There's 2 glass companies here in town now. The boys that run those who used to work for me. So, so I get to see them quite a bit. So. A friend of mine from Vance and Leonard Alley said, let's go to Wenatchee to do the dance. There's used to be called an auditorium, and that's where our performing arts building is now. Anyway, all we used to get the name dance, so we came down. We walked in, and there was these 2 redheads sitting across the room. He says, well, let's go introduce ourselves and dance with them. Well, one of them happened to be Janet, and the other one Virginia. We danced with them, and it ended up, we both married those redheads. Leonard married Janet Howe, and I married Virginia Deering. Brunswick. But my great-grandparents came from England, the United States, and then to New Brunswick, and then the Cache. Gillis Burgess Ward, the first. Great-grandmother, yeah. Sarah. These are the different medals for the Pacific Fleet, the Atlantic operation, and Philippine Sea operation. The picture right here, this is my operating place aboard when I worked at all the put up in that little 42-inch diameter thing. There's your Legion of Honors, and you get one every 10 years. I'm working on my 70th year as a Qantas member. Just like my church, St. Luke's Episcopal Church. I've been there 73 years now.